On today's show, Laura Heywood interviews
Diana DeGarmo and Ace Young. Welcome to Laura Heywood Interviews. I'm Laura Heywood. I saw these two perform together in 2010 as Sheila and Berger in Hair on Broadway, and that's actually where they met, even though they were both famous from American Idol. Diana, the runner-up in Season 3, and Ace, a finalist in Season 5. They got engaged on live television back on Idol in 2012 and have been inseparable ever since, including professionally. In 2013, they co-starred in the national tour of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. They starred as Danny and Sandy in a regional production of Grease. They've gone on USO tours together. They just got back from spending the summer in Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic, where they had a residency together. You can see them together at Birdland in New York City on October 21st, and in 2020, they're starring together in the national tour of First Date, one of the cutest and, dare I say, most underrated musicals of the last few years. We're also here to celebrate Diana's brand new album, GEMINI, which is a bright and brassy big band country record. GEMINI was released in August on Jimmy Buffett's label, and it's pure country. If you told me this was a Dolly Parton album, I would have believed you. And actually, every time I listen to it, I start talking with a little bit of a twang. I've been watching you both on television and stage for 15 years now, and it's so much fun to meet you both in person finally. Diana DeGarmo and Ace Young, welcome to Laura Heywood Interviews.
Howdy.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
I am so honored that you have a bit of a twang after listening to my music.
I've listened to the record, like, I don't know, a few times a week since it came out, and I have not really thought of myself as much of a country girl. I will go country pop, you know,
okay.
And some like old school, like I like Johnny Cash and sort of like the old school country stuff. But man, this record is so catchy.
Thank you.
And so much fun, and I feel like it really does bring your Broadway roots and your theatricality. I feel like I got to know characters through each one of these songs.
Oh, thanks.
And I was like, I wanted to hang out with all of them.
Good,
Like
good.
go horseback riding.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's entitled Gemini, which, you know, for the sign is just two people, but as my husband can probably also attest to, is that there are several sets of twins. It's not just two. There are probably about 4 or 5 sets.
I'm never alone.
I mean, if he's mad, he's like, or if I'm mad, I'm like, wait, the next one will come up in a second. Hold on, you'll get a new girlfriend tomorrow.
That's so funny. I actually dated a guy for a while when I had this anonymous alter ego called Broadway Girl for a while, and he used to call us roommates. He'd be like, I don't want to talk to your roommate right now. Like, bring Laura back. And he would say that even when I'd take him to the theater. And of course I had to be kind of in work mode.
Yeah.
And he wasn't having it, so he didn't last long.
Aw.
And I'm not even a Gemini.
Well, from a
Hey.
person that loves acting and loves theater, you got to have a guy that can hang with you.
Yeah.
He's got to be able to play
Of
some
course.
characters.
Someone that can love you all your sides.
I know.
Yeah.
Well,
That's the
I'm
whole
still
point.
looking. So
And he may
All
have
right,
to
we'll be
play
on the
some
hook for you.
characters as well. You never know.
I mean,
Like tonight, you
Okay.
are the doctor.
Is there
Tonight
any-
you're the Phantom.
Is there anything you'd like to share with us about bringing your acting into the home?
Well, you know, it is a good blessing. I'm just going to put that
To
there
have a
and
good
leave it
actor
and
in the
walk
family.
away.
It is fun. We're always super creative, and the most fun for us is actually tackling new characters and new projects, because we don't know what we're capable of. But as long as we do our own character development and we understand what we're bringing, we are the character. Like 100%. So even if you throw something at us that's different, we're going to react as the person we created. So it's a lot of fun to have somebody that can hold character in the household. At
if
all
we had a
times.
camera crew following us around at home, we would have the weirdest TV show, because we just we're goofballs by nature, and we're singers and actors. So you put the two of that in with just a single family household where it's just the two of us, and who are we going to entertain?
I mean,
one
if
another.
And if we're hungry, we make up songs. If we're tired, we make up songs.
Yeah,
We're
there's
just-
lots of singing
There's
to
a lot
random
of singing
thoughts.
around the house. But
Why
it's a
hasn't
lot of
there
fun.
been a reality show yet?
We've been enjoying our privacy.
Yeah, and you know, and in most ways, I think compared to what reality TV, especially now, has become, we're
Yeah.
too quote unquote normal. We don't like drama.
Right.
We like fun and
would
crazy.
be goofy.
And our life is dramatic in its own way, but I don't need to add to it. Life's hard enough.
Yeah, we don't want to set it up.
Please and
I
thank
feel
you.
like you would just, I mean, the name Young Lovers, I feel like is too obvious, right? Like, I love wordplay and puns, and that's
Sounds
my
like-
favorite thing about, like creating a new product or brainstorming a new TV show is what's the perfect name for it.
When we got
And-
married, our little kind of no, we didn't have. This was before hashtags.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Oh my gosh! But our little saying was "Forever Young," and
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
we walked out to "Tonight We Are Young."
Aw.
You know, we went
It was
with
so
it.
much fun.
We love a good theme.
But if we had Young Lovers, I feel like that would be a show for competition against the soaps. It'd be like, today on Young Lovers.
dun dun dun,
I mean,
and all the
look.
fuzzy soap opera lighting to make us all look really good.
I mean, maybe it would be like a faux soap opera.
That'd be amazing. That'd be
Oh.
amazing.
Maybe you
All
could
right.
play fictionalized versions of yourselves.
Well, I kind of feel like I'm living a fictionalized version of myself sometimes.
Yeah. That'd be fun. That actually would be fun.
I mean, look, sign me on. I'll be
All
a
right.
producer. I don't have any connections in television, but
We might-
Neither do we.
I'm great
Let's do it.
brainstorming.
We might have to ask you to be a part of the show, though.
Great.
Yes.
Figure
I
out
can
your
narrate
characters.
it or
And bring your
something.
roommate.
Yeah, will do. Can we talk a little bit about how this album was created? I heard you wrote all the songs in like 6 days.
We did. So for many years, I didn't have any real musical inspiration for writing. I had Idol was his own crazy experience, and I did some EPs shortly thereafter, and then I just felt like I was kind of trying to do what other people wanted of me, and wasn't really sure. I kind of had lost myself along the way, and so I kind of was dormant for many years, and I didn't have anything I wanted to say or anything I wanted to do. I was not inspired. I was doing a lot of theater, which was really giving me a creative outlet, so that was kind of my own therapy
Yeah,
in
like
a way.
disappearing into other
Yeah,
characters.
and it was a great, structure, a place for me to kind of grow and refine myself. And out of nowhere, 3 years ago, I woke up on my birthday and was like, I know exactly what I want to do. I know exactly what I want to do, because the hardest part is a lot of people in the music industry have said, well, you're not really this and you're not really that. They can't put me into a box. And I finally said, screw the box. We're going to blow the box up. And I am going to make this box have as many sides and have as many colors as I want to. And I'm just going to make a record, because life is too short. I don't want to worry about making other people happy except myself right now. And so I called up my friend Dylan Glatthorn, who I had known. We all moved to New York when we were babies.
He's an amazing musical theater composer.
He is,
He's
and-
an Alan Menken Award winner a couple
Yes.
times over.
He just got married last weekend.
Oh my
Yes, we
gosh.
all went out to Block Island and had a blast. And I mean, he works with, he's a creative chameleon similar to myself. He can write for any kind of style of music. You just
Any
tell
instrument.
him, and he plays like 9 instruments. And
Yeah.
I brought him this idea. I said, I want to marry my Broadway life and my Southern life. And I've been dramatic since the day I was born. So
I believe that.
what? And so it wasn't anything new to me, but I had kind of talked about it to other people before, and they thought I was nuts. And so fast forward, we got together because I was doing a show here and he was working at NYU. And so we would sneak into NYU rehearsal rooms after hours, and we could only get together a few times before I was going out for another job in Korea. So we literally got together 6 times and just wrote like mad people, and the record just happened. It was, which was, I think, the coolest thing I've ever done in my creative life, was that there was no, oh, okay, well, we need a fast song. And no, we need a couple slow songs. And okay, kick this song out. And we just started creating. And next thing you know, we were like, hey, how many songs do we have? Oh, we're at 15 songs. Oh, okay. Oh, good. I think that's enough. And we went to Nashville and recorded the band down in Nashville, which was a wonderful kind of fulfilling life circle experience, because that was actually, we recorded in the same room that I recorded my first record with RCA, with the same engineer, but like this time we were holding the reins and we were in charge, and
You were
he-
grown up.
Yeah, Seth, the engineer, was like, "Wow, it's like, who would have thought 15 years later, like this is what we would be doing?" And a lot of really great dear friends have been a part of this entire process, which has been, I think, one of the best parts is that all these people I've known for so long are now coming in, like my guitar player Slim, who we're actually playing with at Birdland tonight. He put the band together for the record.
It's happening tonight at Birdland?
Another show. We're guesting for another friend's show.
We're just jumping in for one song. He did a jazz album, so we're going to jump in and see his show and then sing a
Yeah,
couple
I was like,
songs.
wait, I thought it was October 21st.
no, that's our show. Yes, it is.
But he was one of my first friends in Nashville, and so like he put the band together for the record. Dylan was one of my first friends in New York. We wrote the record together. Ace is the one person who knows me better than I do, and he produced and wrangled all my craziness and made.
Plus, he has a little cameo on a very romantic number.
Thank you.
Yes. We wanted to include our wedding song because we realized it never was released. It was only ever played at our wedding when we did our first dance, and we thought, what a great way to add one last little period on the end of the sentence.
Yeah, if you're really getting to know Diana, you got to get to know Diana.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, so that's kind of the gist of it.
But
I'm just rambling now.
But here's the thing: like, as a viewer and another artist watching, there wasn't one hitch in the road. There was not one roadblock in the whole creative process. And what I want for Diana, especially, is I want her to feel free to paint. You know, paint the notes that you hear. Say the words that you feel like represent you, and put it on your gravestone. This is yours forever. But there wasn't one hiccup in the creative road. The band heard the music, and they recorded 16 songs in 2 days.
Wow.
All
Can I
live.
say, this is how we know he's the producer and I'm the artist, because in my head I was like, there were 92 hiccups.
It
My
was
gosh, all the speed
phenomenal.
bumps. And he's, the producer is the man or the person that has to keep it together and make sure we don't unravel. And
It was phenomenal, and watching everybody put their love and their spin on it from their instrument was amazing. I mean, the communication in the room was just guys looking at each other and nodding their heads, saying, "You got the next part. You got this, Phil. You got that." And Diana was on cloud nine, and I couldn't be happier.
So, as producer, are you sitting behind a soundboard, actually mixing it, or like, what does that mean in an album like this?
As on a live album, you have to get a live mix so you can hear everyone.
Yeah, because the band was in the room with you.
Yeah. Everybody.
Yes,
They're all
an
recording at the
engineer
same
would be
time.
mixing it per se.
Yeah, they're all recording at
live
the same
time.
time. So we had to get a mix on everybody. After that, once I can hear everybody, I just had to make sure that they fell into the right, I call it stank or pocket. But each song
Gotta get
has
the
swag.
stank.
Each song has swag.
Yeah.
And when you get into a certain song, they have to be in it so much that they have to hold their character. So I have to believe all of them. So once we got into their characters of what they were playing, they held it the entire day.
So you were in the edit.
Yeah.
He was
making
there
sure
in the
that-
room when
I
it
was in
happened,
the room.
and then
I was in the mixing area. I was in the mastering area, and I made sure that sonically it sounded just like it did in the room.
Amazing. The word producer is one of these things that I don't know two people with that title who actually do the same thing.
oh no,
No, they're
yeah,
all different.
it's a
So
very
I always,
vague
whenever
term.
anybody tells me they're a producer, I want to know exactly
What you did.
what that means. Because
Yeah.
I've worked as a radio producer, I've worked in television production, I've worked in like producing events, and they're so
all different.
Well,
Yes,
sometimes
yeah.
it's just money. Sometimes
Yeah.
producers just give money, and they don't play any instruments on anything. They just kind of wrap it up and put the bow on it. But
Yeah,
with,
that's
with,
the case with Broadway producers. Very
Yes.
often they're fundraisers.
Yeah.
And then there
Exactly.
are creative producers on Broadway who are sort of more like a dramaturg and collecting historical information and making sure that there is consistency and so I find the title really fascinating.
It's interesting because you don't know what they do. And with this one, it was fun for me because since I know Diana and I know her voice, I know her statements, I know how much they matter to her. Really, ultimately, I was running everything by the artist, the GEMINI artist, and I was kind of like the therapist for the GEMINI artist as we were going to the finish line of getting it mixed right and mastered correctly so it sounded live because Diana's a live artist. But it wasn't me talking to Diana. It was me talking to her art. It was the GEMINI. And I was consoling that person as we went through and said,
lot of consoling.
does this sound the way that you hear it? And we constantly would listen to it on one system and then the computer system and then your phone. And once we finally hit it, it sounded the exact same that it did the day they recorded it in the studio.
Yeah, and helping to put together the right team, because it takes a village to make a record. I mean, yes, there are people that can make a record on their laptop in their apartment, and I think that is awesome. And I'm like, yes, bring on the music, but not this kind. You can't have 13 pieces in an apartment, and it's a lot of
Can you imagine
wrangling.
I think about New York City apartments, and I'm like, can you imagine somebody playing 13 different horn instruments in their apartment,
Right.
laying
You wouldn't get
layering
through
them
one
over?
take before the neighbors are knocking on
Yeah,
the door.
you hear somebody going, "Shut up!"
Yeah,
and
and that becomes another layer in the record.
Yeah.
Different kind of live album.
you
And-
never
and the-
know. Hey, that could be a cool
The
next
challenge
album.
for me on this one is that there was no digital alteration. So I'm
Oh,
used to
really?
like the R&B world where you bend a note or you change something in the after.
Or you
Everything was
add a
live.
drum loop, or
You had a drum
add
loop. You had
auto tune
you
to
had
give that
things that aren't
effect.
real. Everything was real. So everything in its real state, as long as I believe you, just like an actor, if I believe you on stage, why would I do anything to your performance? I just need to believe you.
And we
So
were
it was-
trying to
it was
capture
amazing.
what the show would be live, because, like I said, I thrive for live entertainment. I think that's why I've been very fortunate in the theater community. Is that's what I like to do. You don't get a second take. You don't get a second chance. You got to be on it and do your job in the moment. And we tried to capture as much of that as we could with the Gemini record. And I would say we're pretty successful.
I think we hit it right on the head.
It's so good.
Thank you.
It is. It really. It's transportive, and it takes me into like I've never been to Dollywood, but I feel like this makes me feel like
You
I'm
need
there.
to go. It is
Yeah.
a magical wonderland, and you must go.
I do love a theme park.
Yeah, and visit our house.
I worked
We'll
there when I was in the 4th grade, and then you can come visit us in Nashville.
We'll be playing the Gemini vinyl for coffee.
Yeah.
We do it every-
Right.
we-
That's how
we
you
play-
start every morning,
we
right?
do.
We are.
And I love that you made vinyl of Gemini.
It was an act of love. I mean, the whole record basically has been an act of love and passion, and getting to have them pressed was, people were like, but no, we're in a digital age. I'm like, no, we are coming back. People want something tangible. The world, I think, is becoming so digitized where we're losing connections. Even though we are more connected technically than we've ever been, we're losing human contact. And I think the beauty of records is there is a ceremony to it. You get to feel the vinyl, you get to see the artwork. Our wonderful and incredible friends, the Matulas down in Nashville, have done all of our digital artwork. They took my photos. It's the first time I feel like somebody captured me in a picture. And I wanted to show off their hard work, their artwork that they made for their record. And it's a big, giant double vinyl. Each record was pressed at United Record Pressing in Nashville. Each one is different. So they're all black and pink and white, and no two are the same.
The actual vinyl
The
itself, the
actual
actual
vinyl.
wax, as
Yes.
they call it.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And it sounds legit. Like when you put it on the record player, it sounds like the band's in the room. They're just over there.
I don't have a record player anymore, but I still collect records.
Nice.
Because I like to, well, I mean, I live in a 500 square foot apartment. I had a huge record collection when I lived in San Francisco, I'm from that area. And I
great
used to
spot for
listen
vinyls.
to, I think a lot like you guys, I'd go to a thrift store and be like, oh, I've never heard of this, but it's $0.25. And I'd come home and I would just like put it on and hear that crackling when the needle hits, and like there's just a tiny bit of dust on there, so it adds a little popping, and and I would just be transported. I collect records because I like the liner notes, I like the picture, and there is something about the heaviness, like the heft of that actual physical thing. Plus, I spend so much time just gazing at the tiny little grooves and thinking what a miracle it is that you can actually take a needle and put this physical like line in it, and it can replicate your voice.
It's
exactly.
crazy, right?
It's magic.
It
It's like
is
to me
magic.
that's more magic than anything digital, even though the digital stuff is, there's just as much science behind it, maybe even more, but the idea that such a thing can exist almost makes me believe in like a higher power.
Yeah, someone created the gramophone to play these. I mean, it blows my mind equally. It's one of the coolest things. And now to know that my little record is going to be floating out in the universe, and hopefully somebody will discover it maybe, 25, 40, 50, 60 years from now and go, oh, who's this girl? And, oh, wow, look at this. It's, who knows? I love it, though.
There's a funny thing on Sugar and Spice. There's a vinyl sound on the digital. And it's funny because everybody thinks that we put it in. We added it. It was actually our pedal steel player on the take, started it, and he actually started a sound of
He had a
the
plug-in
vinyl.
on his-
He had
on
a
his-
plug-in. He started the sound when they recorded the live take, and then he came in with that doom, da-da-da-da-doom, ba-da-da-da-dum, and then he faded it out.
Actually, it's Love Me or Let Me Go. Not
Oh, it
Sugar
is
and
Love Me or
Spice.
Let Me Go.
Yes.
And he legit did it live.
Wow.
And everybody's like, wait. No, but it's in the digital. Yeah, but it was done live.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
in that moment.
Still play. Yeah, it's cool.
It was so amazing.
Wow. Okay, so I feel like I know what your answer to this is going to be, but like, do you ever get sick of each other? Like, do you, or actually,
Diana gets sick of her other selves more than she gets sick of me. Like, she needs to leave one in her closet and go out into the living room and get coffee and then go back and talk to the other girl.
Well,
I guess I'm going to rephrase the question. Do you build in any time apart so that you can remain both partners in life and work without conflict?
I think we naturally know,
We don't schedule it.
yeah, when we need kind of our own alone time, and we're both aware of when I pull out the books, he's like, okay, Diana just needs to go be quiet for a minute, because we're social butterflies, and particularly myself, and Ace is more actually the introvert of the family, but there are times when you have to like stop, and you can't pour from an empty cup kind of thing, so we have
Gotta
to kind of recharge. But I would say we've made a time limit that for when we're traveling, 3 weeks is the longest we'll go apart from one another, because you start to create a life again as a singleton. And you do, and you get into your own habits and things like that. And then when you try to reassimilate the two of you back together, you spend a week or two just trying to get your life back
Trying
in
to figure out if you're
order
waking
and
up
go,
and doing
okay,
coffee, or
who
what
wants
is the
okay,
morning
do you
routine?
want yoga? What's on first? Who's on second? And so we've now made a rule that every 3 weeks, even if we see each other for only 24 hours, it's like we got to get to wherever the other person is. But other than that, we work really well together. We're not trying to, go, oh, we're the perfect couple, but we do. I think that was evident from early on when we met. We were great friends first.
Yeah, and you were colleagues first.
Yes.
Did you have your first kiss on stage?
Yes, actually in front of Diane Paulus and the
the
rest
whole
of the
tribe.
cast.
Yeah. Because she said, you're going to kiss. Get it over with.
In rehearsal, the first day of rehearsal.
Oh my gosh.
We're like, oh, hello. Yes, nice to meet you.
And was it magic, or was it like a stage kiss where it just felt sort of like part
It was
of the
more than a
choreography?
stage kiss. It wasn't like that 50s kiss where you just plant your faces next to each other and wait for it to fade out. It was
Yeah,
definitely
well,
a
hair
little,
has never been that
it was
for
a-
any
Right?
actor.
there was a little
Yeah.
more lip action than
Right,
that.
but I
Yeah.
mean, did you feel like, oh shit, there's chemistry here?
Well, I think at the time I definitely thought it was a part of the environment we were in.
The
So,
characters.
you build these little worlds that you create when you're creating a show. And the outside world is vastly different. So you hear a lot of showmances created and things like that, because you're in an alternate universe.
Right, and Sheila and Berger have chemistry,
Yes.
and they are highly attracted to
Yes.
each other. So
Yeah.
even if you wouldn't have felt that off the stage, feeling it on stage is
That's part of our
it.
job. So, at the time, I think we both thought, whoa, okay, we're really in character. And it wasn't, and we remained very good friends when the show closed, but it wasn't until, afterwards where I'm like, oh,
Who are you?
okay.
So you didn't actually get together romantically during the run of Hair?
No.
No, and she toured for a year and a half, a year after that, doing 9 to 5 as Dora Lee. And then during that year, it was like every 3 weeks she had a reason to be in LA. So I would always make sure that she was picked up at the airport.
Because I was a poor actor being like, hey, you have a house. Can I stay in your extra
and I
bedroom
crash in the room,
again?
and it was totally fine.
And then
with it.
2 months later, be like, hey, friend, I got another audition.
And it was a no-brainer.
And then
It
you were
was
like,
just time to
maybe
hang.
you don't sleep in the guest room this time.
We actually
Nudge,
started to date
nudge.
during that year.
Yeah, that was kind of how we started to date, but we didn't even really realize it until at the end of 9 to 5, and I got the job of Hairspray at the Hollywood Bowl. And about a week before, my housing fell through, and I called him and I was like, "Dude, I don't know what to do." And he was like, "It's okay. It's only a 3-week contract. Come here. You can stay in the extra room. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be fine." I was like, "Great. Okay. As soon as that's done, I'm gonna go get a sublet because I was planning to stay for another month to do like the LA thing because I'd never done it before." And got through the Hairspray contract.
Got picked up for Young and the Restless.
But the same day, I was supposed to come back to New York for another job. And that morning, I got a phone call that contract had fallen through. And so for about 3 hours, I felt completely helpless and was like, oh my God, what am I going to do with my life? And then that afternoon, I got a phone call asking me to join The Young and the Restless. And so I went from nothing to everything.
Is that what you guys are? Young and restless?
Hey, yes.
Kind of,
I
yeah.
would definitely be the restless one.
Well, we didn't start dating until then. And when
Yeah.
she needed a place to stay, I didn't see a reason for her to be anywhere else unless she hated me. So I was like, why don't you stay here? And she had these 2
Oh,
bags.
it was the cutest thing.
She had these 2 travel bags that she had out in my house. And every time I saw them, it felt like she was going to leave. So I ordered these 2 trunks. And I said, well, you don't have to move in, but you can get rid of the bags and put all your stuff in those trunks. And then that way you have a place for your stuff, and I don't feel like you're going to leave.
And I was like, wait, what do you mean by you don't want me to leave? Are you asking me to move in? And he was like, maybe.
And that was our first real deep conversation, and we haven't had an argument since. Like, it's been literally, that was our biggest altercation, is do we both want to put our roads together? And that was our biggest moment of just trying to figure out if that was it.
And every friend thought I was nuts. They're like, wait, the guy that you did hair, you're moving in with him? And I was like, well, see, things happen, and I'm just going with the flow. Because I was still definitely, I've always got a bit of hippie in me. And I'm like, it is what it is, man. Don't worry. I'm not going to ever get married. I'm not letting no man hold me down. I'm an independent woman. I'm just going to be here for a few months, do this gig, and then I'll go back to Nashville or New York, wherever life takes me.
And a year later, we're doing an interview, and she says, I don't need a ring on my finger to prove that we love each other. And in that moment, my brain went, shit, you deserve a ring more than anybody. So that's why I surprised her.
Can you guys just talk amongst yourselves while I go under the table and just cry for the next 15 minutes? This is the most romantic thing I've ever heard.
It's gross. I know.
It's not gross. It's like, because I'm at that point now where I've been single for a couple of years. It's been a long time since I've had like a real true love. But I also totally still believe in it. And if I didn't believe in it, I would have settled. You know what I mean? And so every time I hear a story like this, it does not make me want to throw up. It makes me want to lean in, because I'm like, okay, yes, this is what we hold out for, even if we have to hold out till we're 40.
But I think
know?
it's also, we
Totally.
figured out early on to just cut the bullshit. We were kind of like, well, wait, what do you want? What do you want? And I think we were both able to come to the same agreement. And if we weren't going to be at the same agreement, go, okay,
Support each
that's
other.
great.
Be like, okay,
you
well,
go
I love
do your
you.
thing. I
Go
love
do
you.
your thing.
Have a great life. I'll see you when I see you. And
whenever we work.
And that, I think that helped, just being honest. So many people are afraid, A, to ask for what they really want, and B, just to be honest with themselves and the people around them.
There's things that are happening that have been happening for years, but for some reason people aren't giving it the attention it deserves, and that is, strong women are sexy as hell. They are sexy
Say
as
it
hell.
again for the people in the back.
Yeah.
They are.
Yes,
Strong
please.
women are sexy as hell, and they need to be celebrated. And my mom is a strong woman. 5 boys, all natural births, but she's still sane.
She's the nicest person
I have
you'll
no
ever
idea
meet.
how. And she is a very strong woman. But Diana is that. So as a guy, if there's a different life that is laid out for her, and it's supposed to be what she's supposed to do, I'm going to support her, especially if I love her, to have her life. But if there's any way that I can be the wedge on front of that train, knocking all the bullshit aside, then I'm going to be the warrior that's knocking everything aside, like Mad Max going into war.
And
Can we
vice
talk
versa.
about your 4 older brothers and what they're up to right now?
There is one that's single.
Because you're speaking my language, and I am not trying to take anybody's man. But if I can find one with that same DNA, I'm interested.
Yes, the next one up. I'm just
The next
saying,
one up is
we'll have to
available.
call him.
He's the short one. He's 6'7".
Well, the short one.
I'm actually the short one. I'm 6'1" and short.
Oh
my
my
brothers are huge, but he's 6'7". They're all big.
I mean, so far so good, you guys.
Yeah, they're raised by good people, and they're good guys. None of us are perfect, but I think the Young family they've done pretty darn well.
Well, and going along with the support is that we don't own each other. Like, so many people look at
Yeah.
relationships like, why would you do that? I would never want you to do that, whatever that is. You don't own a person. So you do what you do, and they do what they do. If it bothers you, you're with the wrong person.
Totally.
It has nothing to do with you. So I see so many people that have this mentality, like when they get into a relationship, they can control the actions of another person. And that's the exact opposite
Absolutely
of what a relationship
not.
is.
Yeah.
You can't let a bird sing if you cage it. It's not going to sing anything for you. It's going to sing like the worst song in the world, and you got to let it out. And it's gonna be
very
happy.
much
It'll come back.
a team.
I can
but
tell.
but it's like it's symbiotic. So it's like we give back and forth. So I just finished my record, and of course, as soon as that was done and all that money was spent, I was like, what can I do for you? Like, what can I, because I know the past like 3 years have definitely been so much about me and like my creative spirit. And for the past few years, I've been, you can't force creativity, right? You have to let people be inspired in their own time.
You can only frame it.
And, yeah, and support it. And I kept saying over the past few years, I'm like, whenever you want to like do your project, Jim and I can hold off. It's fine. It's not going to go anywhere. And he was like, I'll let you know. Well, in the meantime, he's like, in between our projects and things like that. So when we were away, he's off writing all of his own creative, awesome music. And I'm so proud of him because he's about to finish his new record.
Yeah.
And
Is there a date for release?
Ace, is there a date?
Well, it's already mixed. It's just me and an acoustic guitar, but the meaning's there. These are the statements that I want to stand for, and that's why I never.
so sexy.
Oh, you don't have to tell me.
I never wrote the songs in my 20s because I didn't have the statements. Now I have the statements that I want to stand by.
So when do we get to hear these songs?
It'll be first quarter next year.
And
So,
you'll
yeah.
actually get a taste of it at our show at Birdland on October 21st. So the show that we're doing at Birdland, we're calling it DNA, the music that makes us. And it's kind of a journey piece through our lives as entertainers.
Wait, DNA?
Yeah.
DNA.
That became a nickname really quickly off when we were getting married. Our wedding planner called it. She'd be like, "Okay, DNA," and we're like, "Oh, that's cute." So we've kind of stuck. We've kept with it, and the show will have pop hits, Broadway hits, things that have inspired us. Things that we have some really funny anecdotes and stories for that people are gonna be surprised by, and
some new
then
music.
we'll be introducing some new tunes. So
But the whole thing will be out next year.
Yeah.
We wanna let people know us a little bit more. So that's the whole purpose of the show.
It sounds like it's going to come out just in time to sell at the merch booth at First Date.
There you go. Oh, it'll be ready right
oh
next
yes,
to
it'll
Gemini.
definitely be happening for First Date.
And,
Did you guys see that show on Broadway?
No, we missed it, but thank God for YouTube.
Yeah.
It was so cute.
It's adorable.
It's a great, fun show. I'm super excited to be a part of the tour. And, the team that's putting it together, Fifth Estate Entertainment, they are a wonderful group of producers that believe in the equity of theater and how we can all eat at the table and not starve. And they're all about having a good time and being open and honest with one another as creatives and as also, economically. And Matt DiCarlo, who is going to be directing it. He is just a doll and
He is the best person. Like, he and I are friends. By the way, everyone calls him Maddie.
Oh, Maddie. Okay, I'll have to work on Maddie.
Maddie directed the off-Broadway version of The Play That Goes Wrong that's currently playing, and he's a really experienced stage manager. He's the
Yes.
production stage manager on Beetlejuice. He also did Rock of Ages, which I know you have a
Yeah.
history with.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, every time I see him, he's wearing something with a Rock of Ages logo on it. He's like his history with that show runs so deep, and I am just having gotten to know you guys a little bit and knowing him as well as I do, like, I'm so excited for you guys to create or recreate this project together.
Well, we met with Maddie.
You can.
and
Look, you may want to wait till he invites you to call him that.
he's
but,
like, "Hey, girl,
I didn't know him as Matt ever. I was like, "Who's Matt DiCarlo?" And I was like, "Oh, you mean Maddie?"
That's awesome.
When we first met with he and Nathan Gehan, who created Fifth Estate, it was just like instant connection and chemistry. I was like, and we've gotten to that point in our life, career aside.
It's about the project.
It's about the project, but it's about the people.
Yeah,
We
I
don't
know
wanna-
Nathan too.
We don't want to work with crappy people. I'm like, you know what? I am over dealing with bullshit and people that stab each other in the back or do shady stuff. It's like life is too short.
Or
and
carry anxiety around a creative project.
you're like, this is supposed to be fun. We sing and dance for a living, people. I know we all wish we were curing cancer because, let's get rid of that, but we're not. So can we just take off some of the pressure and have fun and be great entertainers.
I'm going to give you a piece of controversial information, but
Ooh.
I truly believe this. You might not think you're curing cancer, but I am obsessed with the human brain and neurology and the way that, like neuroplasticity and all this crazy stuff. And the fact is, as I understand it from my non-scientist research, that when people reduce their stress, they actually are less likely to die from things like cancer. And that the more joy someone has in their life, the more of a reason they have to continue living. And there are studies that show that people's immune systems are stronger when they have more joy and they pursue more joy in their lives. So
We believe that from the woo-woo spiritual side as well.
I
It's
mean,
like,
so you
yeah.
may not be in the lab like creating chemistry experiments to develop a new drug, but by bringing smiles to people's faces, you
Yes.
actually may be staving off disease in a roundabout way.
I love it. Let's go cure some cancer, Ace.
Let's do it.
Come on.
First date style.
Yeah.
Okay, so I usually wait till the very end of the show to do this, but since we're talking
She's
about
kicking us
curing disease, I want to talk about the charities that you guys are involved with, because I know that you are really, really passionate about some medical-related causes, and your contributions to those actually do help prevent illness.
Yeah.
Most
So
definitely.
I believe very much that there's no excuse for having a public platform without using it to make the world a better place. So I dedicate a portion of my show every week to, or twice a week, to amplifying the voices of people who care about specific causes. So hit me with it.
Deal.
Muscular Dystrophy Association and Augie's Quest. Ace, how did you get involved with Muscular Dystrophy Association?
I met a brilliant little young lady right after I did American Idol, and
Named Zoe.
Zoe actually introduced me to MDA when they were still doing the telethon. So we were doing the live 36-hour telethon with Mr. Lewis in Vegas, and he needed other people to come host. And they had asked if I would be interested in performing on it the very first year. So I said, of course. And I actually got it through Zoe. Zoe was the one who had been working with MDA, and she
How
introduced
young are we
me.
talking?
She was about 12.
Oh, wow, like an actual
I
child.
met her from the Idol tour, and she was amazing. Her mom was amazing. Her dad was serving overseas at the time, and so I was like, of course, I would love to meet these people and see what they're all about. So I performed that year, and had so much fun that they let me co-host the next year.
Wow.
During the telethon. And anytime Jerry would be tired, he'd look at me and go, well, I'm going to give you about 2 hours. And he'd just disappear. And he'd go take a nap. And he'd be gone. And there I am with a full orchestra. That's amazing. And amazing people. And just being creative, getting through one amazing performer to the next and having fun. But I fell in love with the people that are actually dealing with neuromuscular disease. Through that, I met a brilliant man named Augie. And Augie, he created all the workout equipment for multiple gyms that I worked out at my entire life, and now
Really?
he has no control of his body.
Whoa.
So
he has ALS.
He has ALS. So
he was a like a serious fitness guy.
he was a rock climber when rock climbing was very dangerous. They didn't have all the chalks and all the preps things they do now. They would just see a mountain and go, let's see if we can get to the top. And they'd go, and he was definitely
He was a
that.
jock like
he
you.
He was a jock, yeah, like me. And he went out and he conquered things with his body. And when I talked to him, after years of getting to know him, I realized that your body is your gift. It's your machine. It's what you're given to use every day. Some people take advantage of it and they don't use it, and it falls apart on them on a daily basis. Everyone I met through MDA or through Augie's Quest, these are people that want to have an active body to be able to do things that are normal. We're not talking crazy. We're not talking, go skydiving and do something that's crazy. They just want to be able to put on their shoes, put on some pants, go have a normal day. They're becoming a prisoner to their own body as it's shutting down.
Because the mind remains healthy. It's everything else that begins to deteriorate. And
So
Ace,
the neurons aren't firing anymore
Yeah.
to the muscle, neuromuscular disease. So the muscles literally just stop. And you could think that you're moving your leg, but it's no longer moving, and it creeps up, and it goes all the way up through your whole body, and then it ends with your heart. So it's a vicious thing. And I'm happy to fight it because they're actually finding solutions. They're finding stem cell growth. I remember 4 years in, the doctor, because I'm a huge nerd, the doctor, I had asked him, I said, well, what's the problem? If you can grow stem cells, what's the problem? He said, the problem is I can't stop them. So when they grow, they fire, they connect, and all of a sudden we have a signal again, like you just plugged in everything and it works, but then they overgrow and cross-communicate. So you can't stop them. Now they're figuring out how to do that. Mm-hmm. They actually are finding cures, and they're the only place that they only gave 6% of the money raised into the foundation to run the foundation.
Yeah.
So over 90% of the money raised went out to the people that needed braces for their legs. They needed wheelchairs. They needed things, or for research. Like they went straight in. And the research, if it wasn't for them, if it didn't help them, let's say they found something that could help a cancer researcher, they gave it away.
For free. They don't charge. They give away all of their information. MDA is a wonderful organization, and Augie's Quest is another offshoot of kind of a similar thing, but Augie's Quest focuses more on ALS because that is what our friend Augie has. And ALS tends to affect adults. More of the neuromuscular diseases that MDA focuses on are kids. So, you know, you saw back in the day Jerry's Kids, mostly children, and we've worked a lot with different events for MDA, and we get to meet some of the most wonderful children you have ever met because they have been through it all, and every one of them are brilliant and smart and funny, and MDA hosts camps, so they have big fundraisers kind of all over the country. The little shamrocks you see in March, those are for the kids for the research, but also to send them to camp. Because so all these kids that they get to know, they give them 2 weeks at a camp where they get to ride horses, they get to go swimming, they get to be kids.
They get to go zip lining.
Yeah, they get to just
Safely.
relax. They don't have to worry about their mom and dad's taking care of their wheelchairs or upgrading their equipment or worrying about their everyday health. And then for Augie's research has, the ice bucket challenge that everybody saw online a few years ago. That actually was a huge blessing to the ALS research forefront. And they have made leaps and bounds and what they have discovered and what they've learned about the disease, because it is so it's so unknown. But Augie, he was diagnosed about 10 years ago.
More than that, almost 15 now.
I'm looking at his website. He was diagnosed in 2005.
Yeah. So they didn't think originally he would make it very long, but because he has always been so health oriented and fitness oriented, and he is one of the most brilliant human beings you will ever speak with. It's like if we want to feel really stupid really fast, go talk to Augie.
Oh, he's brilliant.
But he's funny and great and down to earth, and his family and the leaps and bounds they have made not only have helped him but have helped thousands of other people. And so it's just
even in technology, he figured out ways since I knew him to make a mouse that you could click with your eyes. Like you could run the mouse on your screen with your eyeballs. He was doing one with his foot before that. Like he really is pushing on every level.
Yeah, he's this guy. So again, I'm looking at the website. You mentioned that he worked like in the fitness industry. This is the guy who created Life Cycle, Life Fitness, Octane Fitness. These are like if you go to like a Crunch or an Equinox or any of these other gyms,
you're working out on his stuff.
Yeah, this is his stuff. Like, and just think about, oh my gosh, the horrific irony of somebody who took perfect care of his body and dedicated his career and to having other people do so too, to be trapped inside his own.
Isn't that crazy?
But it also sounds like that was his background in fitness equipment and knowing how the body works and knowing the technology to help sort of keep the body in running condition. What a perfect intersection for him to take those skills combined with his own personal needs and to create these new things.
And he was lived already way past expectation. Once he was diagnosed, they thought he'd be gone in 3-4 years.
I want to read you a quote that from his website that is credited to him, to Augie. He says, "You can either celebrate what you can do or mourn what you can't. Every day I wake up and create a new normal. I don't dwell on what's changed, but instead I focus on keeping busy achieving my goals." Bravo.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also want to say that, just to the listeners, that Diana and Ace did not know that I was going to ask them about this. You've just rattled off so many specifics that it would be easy to believe that you came in with a list of talking points,
no.
bullet points, but you guys just know this stuff. You clearly, genuinely care and are actively involved, not just like, oh, well, my publicist said I should get a pet cause. Like, it is clear that this is truly and deeply important to you, and that is so inspiring. And I'm going to make a donation to both of these causes today in your honor.
Thank you.
And I'm going to encourage everyone who's listening to do the same. I don't have a lot of money to donate, and I'm guessing that people listening don't either.
Anything
but if
helps.
and if we all do it,
Yes.
I like to say that a few, or that enough drops in a bucket can make a big splash.
Totally.
Yes.
And I'm not even making that as a reference
Amen.
to the ice bucket challenge. But like, I used to feel like, well, if I only have $5 to donate, then it's not like, how
not worth it,
embarrassing.
yeah.
How embarrassing to have to
Every cent counts.
Of course, every cent counts, and it is, in a way, I feel like I don't want to say that donating $5 means more than donating $5,000. If you have $5,000, please donate it. But if you are really struggling financially and you only have a few dollars and you give it under those circumstances, the weight of it, the heft of it, and the importance of it,
Goes
just
into
that
the cause.
The
and
energy and that love
intention. Yeah,
goes
exactly.
into what you're giving to. Yes.
Well, I appreciate you even bringing that up, that we speak from the heart about these things, because we do. They call us, if we're in the same city, they call us and say, hey, we're doing this event. Can you come over and host it?
And the people
And we
that
do.
run the events, run MDA, have become dear friends of ours, and they love to collaborate on how we can come up with fun fundraisers, especially because Nashville is a new kind of hub, and we happened to move there at the right time, which was very ironic and kind of serendipitous, I guess. And it's been cool to bring the MDA family out to Nashville. And Augie's Quest just came out at the beginning of the year and did an event with the Nashville Marathon.
It
And
was so much fun.
yeah, I mean, there's so many causes out in the world, and we're very lucky that we feel like we've grown a great connection with all the folks that work for MDA, but also who they support as well.
And every day you wake up and get out of your bed and make your coffee, and you think, man, that took me 45 minutes to get in the car this morning. And you had breakfast and a shower and a shave and coffee. Just keep in mind that there's some people it takes them 45 minutes just to get out of bed. And be grateful. I'm not saying, like, I'm not trying to put some fear in you. I'm saying just be grateful with what you have.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they don't have that. It takes them all day just to get to breakfast.
The people that I know who have the biggest obstacles to overcome in their lives are also some of the most grateful people I know.
Yes.
Most definitely.
And that, the people that I know who have the most privilege are often the people that I hear complaining the most
Yep.
about what they don't have. I think that we could all do to spend more time with people who have the brightest attitudes under the darkest of circumstances.
And also do
Yes.
some research. See how many friends deep it is for you personally that you have somebody that you know that's affected by something. And you will be very surprised. It normally doesn't go more than 2 or 3 people deep. And all of a sudden you either know somebody you didn't know you were related to, or you have a friend that's very close to you that has a brother that has a neuromuscular disease.
Are you still in touch with Zoe?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She donated to my Kickstarter for my
GEMINI.
record, and
Aw.
I was like, "You're now like she's an adult, and
She is.
she's doing so well, and we keep up and we see each other at events when we can, and
She's
it's
doing
cool.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is it's not like she's a fan or we're a fan. It's like we're family.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. The
Well,
minute you
people
decide
meet
to
in
go
all
through
sorts
something with
of
somebody.
ways, and I think that I see this a lot as basically a professional fan in the Broadway industry, is that sometimes people on both sides of the performers and fans want to put these huge walls up. I actually see fans doing it more often than performers, where they'll come up and they'll be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry to do this. Like, you're amazing. And, I'm just a nobody, but I love you, and they put these walls up that say we're in different categories. But I also know people, like, I know of several couples who have gotten engaged when one of them met the other one waiting for an autograph.
Nice.
Yes.
But they weren't like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. They were like, your work really impresses me, and here's why.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I appreciate you, and here's what I do. And they when either one of those people goes in expecting the other person to be an equal, relationships can form, lifelong friendships,
Totally.
sometimes romantic. Look, I'm not saying if you're obsessed with a Broadway star, expect that they're going to ask you out on a date at the stage.
No, they're going.
Please
to,
don't
they're
But
do
you
that.
never know.
No, they're
Please
going to
don't.
marry
Human to
you.
human.
They're going to marry you at the stage door.
They'll just, you'll be like,
First
I love you so
glance,
much. And
they're
they'll be like, really?
I
Let's
actually
get
have
married."
this ring, and it
Yeah.
probably fits your finger.
No, it's more like you meet somebody, you have a good conversation, and then a few months later you run into them again, totally
Yes.
by chance. You develop a friendship, and 3 years later you start dating.
Yes,
But
and that's
just-
what it is. I
yeah.
mean, you want to be comfortable in the normal things with somebody, not just the highlights.
We're all humans.
So you want to be comfortable for coffee. You want to be comfortable for breakfast. You want to be comfortable when you need extra toilet paper, and you're stuck on the bathroom.
That's going to take me a while.
Like
It
we've had
happens.
people say to us, "I'm so sorry, I didn't watch American Idol," and I said, "That's okay. Not everyone." Or I didn't see you in this. That's okay. Or I didn't vote. That's fine. I didn't vote for you because you weren't on a show. So I guess that makes us even.
As long as they're not saying just that they don't vote.
Yeah.
Well, true.
But if-
I don't want to be friends
No,
with them.
right,
But if we,
right.
but if we
If
just
they don't vote for American Idol, that's
That's okay.
fine.
We'll let that one go.
But
We'll
please
let-
vote in your national election.
and if we just came out of a show and you saw the show, I don't need to know anything other than did you enjoy the show?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even did you enjoy what I did because I'm doing what the director tells me to do.
Right.
Did you enjoy the show?
Yeah.
Did we make the last 2-3 hours awesome?
Yeah.
Were you entertained? Great.
That's it. And if they're, you can see it in their eyes half the time because they're just lit up. You can see that they were still excited, and that's the payoff for us.
Yeah, that's my
like the
favorite
most
part of being a
magic moment.
performer.
It
It's
is.
just like see people go through emotions with you, and you're like, we are on this journey together, and that's just it's the best part of that's been what I have yearned for since I was a kid. And my mother said I came out of the womb entertaining, and I hope to go into the grave doing the same thing.
Especially now with the technology being so high. I mean, I very rarely, even in New York City, see people's eyes. I'll see them looking at a phone, walking. I'll see them with their headphones on the subway. I'd never see them. They don't show themselves. They think they do. But when I'm on stage, they're looking at us.
Yeah.
And I can see them. And that's the magic.
Oh yeah, people have no idea what they look like when they're sitting in the audience. That's my favorite part is when you're in a scene, but you're not you're not maybe the focus of the scene, and
Right.
you can kind of get a peek out into the audience, and you just see people doing some of the funniest things, sleeping, yawning, picking their nose. But when you see people are engaged
Oh, it's
and you see that magic behind their eyes, it's
It's
like,
fire.
oh, yes, we're doing
It is so funny when people forget that they are visible. Like for me, I always notice it in cars. Like people think they're invisible
Yes.
when they're driving.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many noses I've seen picked
Oh, yeah.
through car windows.
We saw a guy on the way here in a Rolls Royce digging.
Oh,
Really?
yes, we did. I was like, wow.
I was like, damn, that's a nice car.
I hope he's getting gold
Dig
up
it.
in there.
Yeah.
Right.
He was an investor in the booger world, but it was interesting because the funny thing for us is people don't realize when you're on stage and you're performing, whether it's a musical or your own music, the minute you have a crowd is the minute that everyone lets go. When they let go, they don't know the face they're giving us. So
Yeah.
some people have the resting bitch face, and you're like, oh, okay, well, they're still having fun. They let go and they went to their face. Most people have a face that is still, the eyes are still trying to process. But the face kind of goes a little sideways and like a dog when the ears pop up.
Yeah, if we had ears that could raise up, it
Yeah.
would.
The sound effect is.
Yeah, and the release to us is actually knowing that that's the moment that we have your attention and leaning in. Naturally, as a human, when you look at people and they have that face, you think something's wrong with you. You think that like a booger's hanging out, or you got some broccoli
get
in your
something
teeth,
in
or
my
something
teeth?
weird. But on stage, that's your moment. That's when you have them in the palm of your hand, and you have to lean forward and dig in.
Yeah.
And that's a big moment to realize as a performer because that's the show.
There was a moment when I was very, very lucky. I got to be in the front row of the audience for Hamilton when they performed on the Grammys.
Amazing.
And I brought a friend of mine who's just as big a musical theater nerd as I am. And you could see us on TV, and we were like a few mentions away from becoming a meme because my resting face was, like the giantess smile, leaning forward like, this is, my thought bubble was like, this is the greatest moment of my life. And he has the bitchiest resting bitch
Yes.
face. And there were all these tweets with people taking pictures of us being like, oh my gosh, this guy's girlfriend dragged him to the theater. He looked miserable.
Oh my
But that's just the way he
amazing.
looks when
He was focused.
he was focused, and that's just what his face looks like. But it was like you know what, we almost looked like theater masks, like the comedy
Oh,
and
yes.
tragedy
Yeah,
masks.
it's the
I
opposites. That's
love it.
amazing.
Yeah, so I know from personal experience.
Aw.
Luckily, I think I have resting enthusiast face.
Me too. Oh, me too.
You're a
I
supporter.
cannot hide my emotions whatsoever. So if you ever see my face, you 99.9% of the time know exactly what I'm thinking.
Right.
That's awesome. I love that.
So we're in late September now. You've got this show at Birdland on October 21st. Are you here in New York between now and then? Are you going back to
We're
Nashville?
going home for a couple of weeks, but then we'll be back the week before and, doing some more press and hanging out and getting the show in order because the band and everybody are here in New York, so we'll do our rehearsals here and then party on the 21st and then
Yeah.
hop out on the morning after.
Really?
'Cause we
Back
got to go
to
to the
Nashville?
go to
Yeah.
the next gig, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So are you guys touring the same show?
This will be the first time we do this show.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
this is the debut of this show, and right now we have a couple other dates that are potentially coming up. But right now, this is the one night only. Come and see
Yeah.
us.
Oh my
It's gonna be
gosh.
great.
And then we're going back to our residency in Punta Cana for Christmas and New Year's.
Oh, that just will not suck to be
so
on the
much
beach
It's not too
for
bad.
Christmas and New
The
Year's.
Hard Rock Hotel and Casino is a magical little place.
Yeah.
I say, come on down. Everyone's fine. No one's dying. Don't believe the news.
Oh my gosh, I have not heard that.
It was a summer thing. People got all uppity. It's fun.
And
They're
the fun
actually
thing
down in
is,
deaths.
we love partying on the days off as well. So we do 3 or 4 shows a week, and then the other days we're out on the beach and we're throwing stuff
Hanging
around and
out.
having a ball and playing
So,
volleyball and
If
drinking.
I were to come to Punta Cana the week between Christmas and New Year's, could we hang out? You're
Yeah.
on the
Most
spot.
definitely.
yeah, we'd be playing volleyball on the beach.
Will
drinking
you
pina
bring
coladas.
your 6'7" single brother?
He may
I
be
can
there.
work on it because I like you a lot better than a lot of his other girlfriends. You already are on the upswing, sister.
Amazing.
Diana is a good in.
Oh, I told him from here on out I get to clear all of them.
I mean, just
So you've already
I'm up
passed
for
the
an
first
intro.
one.
Diana DeGarmo and Ace Young. You can find them on Twitter at Diana DeGarmo and all caps, I am Ace Young on Twitter and on Instagram, Diana D. Young and at Ace Young. Go see them at Birdland on October 21st. Go see them on tour with First Date. Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah.
you.
A lot of new music's coming your way.
Yeah.